Aloha. In this video, we're going to be talking about physical access controls. So when we're talking about outside security, we're talking about outside your facility. What kind of security measures do we have in place that will physically secure our location? The first one that we have is fencing. Everybody knows fencing. We can have different types of fencing. We can have wooden fencing, wire barriers. We can have fences with barbed wire on the top. These things will physically deter people from trying to get in and climbing. Won't stop them, but it's used as a deterrent. One other thing that we have is lighting. Uh, the bad guys like dark areas. Lighting kind of takes away the dark areas and the areas they can hide. So lighting is a good deterrent for intruders. Another thing is bollards. You may not know the phrase bollards, but you've all seen bollards. Bollards are those little, I wouldn't say a spike, but they're these little short poles that are put in areas to keep vehicles from accessing them. So outside certain buildings, you'll see bollards that are set up like little, I guess, little poles, mini poles, and they physically restrict cars from accessing areas. And the distance between these poles are such that you can't get vehicles through them. Another idea for physically securing things is industrial camouflage, and that's the act of obscuring a building's purpose. So they talk about how you can take a call center, put in a warehouse to prevent angry customers from finding the call center. A more practical one is board of water supply. Board of water supply is kind of famous for having buildings that are kind of camouflaged into the neighborhood, and it's not to prevent people from being up getting upset and storming the place, but they often are these buildings that they use are just part of the neighborhood. They're like a house or something like that. So yeah, so that's industrial camouflage. It's taking something and blending it in with the surroundings, and people won't bother it because they don't realize what it is. Moving on from that, we've got the ideas of cameras. There's a lot of different types of cameras that you can use for indoor and outdoor security. Security cameras are there to to monitor and record areas. Some of these cameras they've got different types of capabilities. You've got object detection, you've got motion recognition, and some cameras now have smart recognition. They can trigger video recording depending on what types of activities or what types of things that they detect. If they detect certain objects, I have very simple WISE cameras that can detect pets and packages and people and vehicles. So there's all kinds of neat stuff that you can do with cameras. With motion detection, these, they're set off when motion is detected. There's three different types. There's infrared, and that's going to detect IR radiation, which is IR being infrared radiation. It's detected from warm objects like people, pets, things like that. You've got ultrasonic sensors, and those are sensors that emit and receive high frequency sound waves to detect objects. And then you've got microwave sensors. And microwave sensors can actually sense through walls, so they emit and receive electromagnetic signals to detect objects. Then we've got closed circuit TV, and those are a system that displays the camera's view on a screen. So the CCTV, it allows security personnel to monitor security cameras in real time. And you've seen this in all the movies where you've got a security guard looking at a bunch of screens, that show different parts of the building. So that's, what that is. And lastly, we talk about locks. Everyone's used to the idea of locks. You've got electronic locks. Those are going to be locks that, you can tap your badge on, and it'll open up. You've got biometric locks, which are the ones where they either take your fingerprints, scan your eyes, something like that. You've got physical locks, which are the good old-fashioned kind, the ones that use a key or a combination, something like that. Then you've got cable locks, and cable locks are locks that are, attached to a cable that can be looped through equipment. You've seen probably laptop locks like that in a lab. You may have seen that. Bicycles use that kind of a locking mechanism. And then there's some other additional access controls that we can put in place to help beef up physical security. One is a reception area. A reception area, it's a big, visible, open area. You can have a visitor log there. You can log people in and out as they come and go. Having somebody physically there, it will deter people from just wandering in. You've got the idea of guards. You can have robot sentries that go around and patrol and, use facial recognition to identify people. Sensitive areas can require a little bit more security. You can have two-person integrity, which is a control that requires two people to authenticate or to authorize something. So, for example, if you had like let's say a data center or let's say a cabinet that you needed to get access to, you could have it where both people have to badge in to open it up. There's also something called an access control vestibule, and that's really good for preventing people from tailgating. And what that is you'll have a you'll have an entryway, and I've seen this at zoos for different reasons, and I'll explain that in a second. But the idea is that you go through one door, you badge in through one door, you get into this little tiny room, and then you have to, once the door closes, you have to badge on the second door to get into the other one. What that does is it keeps somebody from tailgating. And one way you can make sure that somebody just doesn't physically piggyback into there is you can have a scale in there, and the scale is going to essentially take the weight of whoever's in the room. And if it's over a certain amount, and maybe even in your ID, you can have your weight listed on there, your approximate weight. So you can't just hide another 100, 200 pounds on there. So you can see, is this a one person or is it more likely more than one person? And you can restrict access into the inner chamber, that way. So yeah, I've seen these controls also used in other areas where they're trying to, let's say at the zoo, where they want to make sure that when you're going into an area that no animals get out. So you go into the first area, close the door behind you, and then you can open up and go into the area where the little zoo animals are. So a very similar concept, and you may have seen that in real life. And that's it for this section. It's pretty easy concepts here to understand. Maybe a little bit of new technology. Physical access controls for outside fence, lighting bollards, which are those small poles that they put to prevent access. Industrial camouflage, blending things into the environment. We talk about cameras. We got security cameras. They can do object detection, motion detection. Motion detection can be infrared, ultrasonic, or microwave. Remember, microwave can see through walls. We've got CCTV, which is the closed circuit TV. Everybody's seen that on TV before, where you've got the security guard watching all the panels. We've got locks. We've got the electronic locks, the biometric locks, the physical locks. We've got the cable locks that lock, bikes and laptops, things like that. And then we've got additional access controls like reception, visitor logs. We've got guards, whether they're a person or whether they're a robot that can do facial recognition. Then there's the idea of two-person integrity, where two people have to do something. The beginning of the movie War Games from a long time ago had something where in order to launch nuclear weapons, you had to have both people match up their parts of the code and then turn their keys. And yeah, it was a very famous scene. And then you've got the access control vestibule, which is that little inner chamber that you have to get through. You badge, go into the chamber, badge to get through. So that's it for this section. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Aloha.